Reduction and oxidation, right? So redox is a contraction of two words, reduction and oxidation. In most fields of chemistry, it has to do with forming bonds, right? And so things are bonded together, and that's what creates new compounds. In redox chemistry, bonds aren't formed, rather little tiny particles called electrons are transferred. And these electrons possess a high level of energy. And so when you transfer an electron in a very real way, you transfer energy. So redox, in a very simplistic way, is how energy is transferred through the body. So that's what we mean when we say redox. It's simply a contraction of two words, reduction and oxidation. And in chemistry class, those of you who took chemistry in high school may remember the term oil rig. Oxidation is lose, O-I-L. Okay. Reduction is gain, R-I-G. So okay. You have an electron being transferred. The reduced species, or reduction, is gaining an electron.
I see what they did there.
Right? You have the oxidized species, which is losing an electron. Redox signaling molecules are already made in your body. Within the cells, there are mitochondria. While the mitochondria is creating ATP, which is fuel for your cells, there are other species that spin off of these reactions called redox signaling molecules.
Okay.
These redox signaling molecules are signal for your cells to do important functions.
That's where the on-off switch that you've talked about comes into play.
Exactly.
Okay.
So these cells don't have brains. They don't get to decide what they do. They're not sentient. They don't get to make decisions.
To be told.
If they're told to do something, they do something.
Okay.
Right? And so these signals, these redox signaling molecules, enter the cell and tell the cell to do a certain thing. Yeah, one of the examples is an immune function, right? If there's an external threat to the body, a lot of times redox signaling molecules can signal for the body to respond to that external stressor.
Take care of this thing, whatever it may be.
Okay. The challenge is that your mitochondrial function in a large part has to do with your lifestyle. And even further beyond that, into the genetic code that you have, right? Your genes are different than my genes, but they all kind of stem back to similar origin.
Right.
And the genetic code for humans has evolved slowly over millennia, right? Mm-hmm. Technology changes very quickly.
Yeah.
And so the landscape that we find ourselves in today is very different than humans 10,000 years ago. Now, because of rapid population growth in monocrop agriculture, in order to sustain that population growth, our food is different, the way that we rest is different, the way that we work is different, the amount of pollution that we're exposed to.
But our bodies haven't kept up with all of that.
Exactly.
So we're not making enough of these molecules to keep up with all of these advancements, changes, whatever they're called.
Exactly. The landscape in which we find ourselves today is much more stressful from a physical standpoint than many years ago. You have your body who is genetically coded to make a certain number of these redox signaling molecules. But you have an environment that is very different from which the genetic code is able to respond. Balance that's occurring because you have more stressors than your response mechanism can handle. We help to find that balance by supplementing redox signaling molecules with the idea these redox signaling molecules are tiny, high energy molecules. Because they are so tiny, they can be absorbed directly into the cell. Once they're absorbed into the cell, they act like an on-off switch, turning on those signals, right? We're starting to turn on functions to the cell. And what's really interesting about that is once a cell begins to kind of go to work, it begins to signal to the cells around it. Those cells signal to the cells around them, beginning what we call the cascade or domino. And this cascade or domino effect is what contributes to this resilience to stress, this overall wellness, right? When we talk about those external stressors. Again, we mean physical stressors. You may be stressed mentally, but we mean physiological stressors. That physiological stress needs a response, right? And that response requires a certain amount of energy to turn on the signal to do so. These high energy molecules donate their energy to create the signal to help the body respond to those external stressors.